E.T. Phone home. Woo-hoo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to PT3600. My name is Ryan A. Moore, but joining me is...
Hey, it's Josh.
And
Ashton.
it is the just regular Primal Target crew sitting here around the table going to talk about...
I thought it was a rectangular table.
They don't know that. It's theater of the mind.
Oh, right. Shit.
Theater of the mind.
My bad.
Theater of the mind.
Whoa!
Yeah, that's going to freak people. Anyway, welcome back to PT3600. This episode, we are going to be talking about aliens. And, yeah, I was like, what were we trying to do there? We're going to talk about aliens. I have no idea where the hell this conversation is going to go.
Oh, well, I can start it off. I already know exactly
I
what
know
want to
exactly
talk
where
about.
it's
Go
gonna
right
go.
ahead. Go right ahead. I'm along for the ride on this
Oh,
one.
man.
If you need any help,
Ooh, I can't wait to talk about this with you.
Oh, okay.
okay, fine. Fuck me then. I guess
No,
we'll
I
give
just have a feeling it's
No,
gonna
I
be-
get it. I saw the eyes locking, the hearts floating around, the UFO ships flying around.
I think it's gonna get very conspiracy theory
Hey,
real fast.
Oh, for
hey,
sure.
Shane
Yeah,
Dawson makes that popular, so we can get on the revenue train of that one. So.
Yeah.
All right, so Josh, go ahead. You
Oh,
interrupted
okay.
me first. So.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry. You weren't done with the intro. I apologize.
No,
The salt is real.
it's totally fine. It's totally fine. Go ahead.
Well, first off, I just want to say before we get into any conspiracy theories that I don't like aliens. The idea of aliens, like the concept that there are probably like other humanoid creatures out there that are visiting Earth abducting people freaks the fuck out of me.
Yeah,
Like,
no, that's definitely something that is weird. Yeah.
yeah, and so like if one of the things that I wouldn't want to be is it would be abducted by aliens. The reason because of that is the movie Fire in the Sky, and I don't know if either one of you guys have
No.
seen it.
Wait, hold on. Before you go, that can we? Is there a movie that? Okay, you said Fire in the Sky. Is that the one that freaks you out the most?
Yes.
Is there an alien movie that freaks you out the most?
No,
I would say Signs freaks me out.
Oh,
Signs. Yeah, Signs.
Sign.
It does
There are
pretty good.
moments in that film.
Yeah, like
And
when
if
he's
you've
in the
only seen it
cornfield
once
and
or
stuff.
twice, it still gets you.
Yeah, it's pretty.
There's
it's
still
got some
times that it
spooky
gets
moments.
you. Yeah. Anyway, I
Okay.
just wanted to see if like anyone else shared that thing. But anyway,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, basically, yeah. The only reason why it freaks me out is because the aliens, in particular, that abduct the dude, they perform some particular experiments on him that I don't really want to. Yeah, that I don't really. I don't know if I should go into them for. I don't want to like spoil the movie if you guys ever decide to watch
How
it.
old's the
'cause
movie?
It's like mid-90s.
You're fine.
So, well, I mean, I don't
What
know.
are we ever gonna watch this together?
I don't know, maybe.
Okay, fine. Go
I
ahead.
don't-
Fine.
Well, I don't know because I was thinking about bringing it up for something else. you know,
okay,
but-
okay, fine.
But you know,
Go ahead.
Anyway, so but the movie kind of freaks me out. But like getting into the idea of like aliens and stuff.
Aliens.
My dad wholeheartedly believes in aliens. He said he's seen them as a child.
Really?
And I
Holy
feel
shit.
What? How
Yeah.
does he describe them?
he's okay. So he said when he was a kid, he was out in a field, and he
fuck.
was out like because my dad grew
A
up in
wheat
Maryland,
field?
and
Oh, nope.
it wasn't a
The
wheat
ma-
field. I think it was like just a
The
regular
many wheat fields of Maryland.
Yeah, because I want to say it was just like a grass pasture or something. Yeah, like yeah, because
There's wheat here.
yeah, and I know wheat.
That's a reference to something that hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. But
We'll get that joke in a
Yeah.
couple more weeks.
yeah, you'll understand in due time. But anyway, I guess he said he was standing in a pasture or something like that with one of his friends, and they were out playing, and it was like the evening time, like sunset. And he said what he saw was like essentially it was a large like looming light above his head. And making and kind of making like a loud humming / buzzing sound that he had never heard before, and essentially this thing like basically zipped over his head like if an airplane was landing over your head, right? And it was super loud. I guess it like the force didn't knock him down, but he said that it definitely like jostled him a little bit. It moved him, and then essentially it just shot straight up into the air and disappeared. And I've had similar experiences where if I'm standing out in the middle of like, because where I live at the moment, it's the childhood house that I grew up in, and I had to move back in there, and it's
Yeah, but your shit's haunted though, so I don't know.
right,
If I trust
yeah,
any,
I don't
any
trust
alien activity going on.
dude. My house is full of just weird shit because
think
our
that
our
episode aired.
electronic, yeah, our
Wait,
electronics.
Is it this season that the haunted?
I believe.
episode?
Yeah, I think we talked.
Yeah.
about
No. Last
It was
season.
last
It was
Yeah,
season 1
Yeah,
of
because we talked about
PT3600.
ghosts already.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that.
That was our
Um,
Halloween special.
That's right. Yeah, and so yeah, go back and listen to it now if you
Yeah,
haven't.
exactly.
Pretty good.
I won't make an
but-
annotation for it, but go ahead and find it.
but our house is like full of just like weird activity because a lot of the time our electronics stop working just randomly. Our power goes out sometimes.
Do you hear clicking sounds?
Every like not like alien clicking sounds, but I definitely hear things in the house.
For the baby monitor.
But there was one time I remember standing outside and it was like maybe 9 or 10 o'clock at night.
I wasn't there, so I don't know.
And I was and I was looking up at the sky and it was so strange because I saw this bright light, right? And I'm not like a huge like astrological nerd per se, but like I like
You
to
can
look
say astronomy. Oh, I
well,
can't even say.
well, I was gonna say
Oh my God.
astronomy. Well, yeah, because I was gonna say like I'm not like I am into astronomy, but like I was trying to think of a way to word it, and it just didn't really click in my brain. But anyway, it was a large light. I was thinking, oh, that's probably a planet. So I get on my handy dandy stars app on my phone, and
As one does.
yeah, and I hold up my phone. And I'm like, what planet is that? But nothing came up. All the planets were not in the same spot. So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, maybe it's a star, but there's no star on the map that matches that. And I'm like, that's really weird. And then as I'm looking at this light, it darts across the sky, stops, and then just disappears. And it was the weirdest thing because I was freaking out. I was like, dude, like what in the hell was that? Because I know I wasn't seeing things.
Jesus.
Like, yeah,
Well, you
that
know,
was,
as of some research that we've done for a project that we might do in the future, alien sightings
right.
started in Washington State.
Oh, okay. I know it. Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the thing is like it happened over the Cascade Mountains.
I
That's the
believe-
one that we have.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
And it was a guy flying in a biplane, and he saw saucers
Oh, right,
jetting
right,
by
that's
him.
right.
Yeah, and then the UFO craze began in like the
Yes.
50s, and it just shot.
Yeah.
50s, 60s.
Yeah, and like
Kinda died
Roswell
in 70,
happened
yeah.
like right around about then because that was 47.
I can't even remember the dates. I know, like,
47,
when's
49?
Battle Los Angeles?
That was
That was in the 40s, right?
yeah, that was
That was
like
after World War II.
yeah, that was like the late 40s. I want to say that was in like 48, 49. So I want to
When
say
was the Cold War?
that was basically the end of World War II until the 80s.
Okay, because I think it was like on the brink of World War II. That's why everyone was on high alert for Battle Los Angeles. I think that was what was going on there.
Yeah, because World War II was from 39 to 45.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, alien stuff was happening like right at the tail end of World War II. But, yeah.
And then there's those conspiracy theories of
Yeah.
like the Nazis had some sort of connections with UFOs and whatnot.
yeah, they were like maybe doing experiments with extraterrestrials. They were experimenting on people. They were trying to like. I've heard stories where they've tried to reproduce aliens in people. Yeah, it's. Yeah, dude. Yeah,
Oh, God.
dude. The Nazi scientists were really fucked
I
up.
mean, hey, you know,
Like
they had the
Bigelow and all
testing.
them?
They
Yeah.
had the testing. Literally, that was what concentration camps were.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
putting people to their limits
Yeah.
and then using them. Yeah,
seeing what they
it's
could do.
real fucked up.
Yeah.
But anyway, alien.
Have you guys seen the alien autopsy video? That's like, I think it's been proven as a hoax, but it's that one that's like world famous, where it's in like black and white, and the alien's laying on the table, and he's like half cut open, and they're like pulling out his organs.
I
and
saw
stuff.
the interview
Yeah, I
one,
saw the interview one.
but that one's definitely fake.
yeah, that was
Oh,
very
okay.
because
confirmed fake.
at the very end, I think it's like an advertisement.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, because this I remember watching this in like the mid '90s, and it's supposedly a video diary of an alien autopsy of and it's in black and white, and it's I guess it's one of the aliens that was at the Roswell crash, because his legs all like burnt up and his head's like caved in one spot, and they were doing an autopsy to basically determine his cause of death, and
Probably crashing.
Yeah,
yeah, you would think,
Probably.
yeah, but apparently, yeah, traumatic brain trauma, considering that his head was half caved
Do
in.
you think aliens look like that?
See, and that's the thing is like, yeah, you would wonder
I don't know.
You
if
know.
they do.
how
Uh,
humanoid they are.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if I think of one, it's hard to. So if you think about it like this, if you think like an intelligent being that's able to, you know, advance in like technology that far, the only species like that we know is us. So it's
True.
hard to picture something that doesn't look
Like us,
Oh, right,
but
yeah.
just in a different way.
Yeah.
slightly slightly different.
Yeah.
But you expect them to be more humanoid looking.
Yeah, I mean, I remember hearing on one podcast where they were talking about how, like, I don't want to get spiritual here, but this might get a little controversy here.
Oh, I
Ooh.
think
But
I already
do
know where
you-
you're going.
If aliens exist, do you think God doesn't exist?
Oh, okay. You went a totally different route than I was
okay, I'm
thinking.
curious to hear what you
Because
say.
I've heard people say that aliens and God are essentially the same thing.
Oh,
like,
some people believe that
yeah,
that's them.
yeah, like angels were aliens
Were
that
them.
descended from the sky and then essentially left
that's
or
an
whatever.
interesting thing too.
Interesting.
Yeah, and maybe they're people like creatures that have wings. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, you also have to think like to kind of counter, or not really counter what you said, but
I'm not
to-
saying that.
No,
I want
I
to
know.
go and clarify.
Right.
I'm not saying
Well, and
Right,
even
right.
then, if there is a God, like it's very
you'd
possible
have
that
to
it could have
create
created.
the aliens too.
Right.
So.
Yeah, well,
Exactly.
because the thing is like if you really want to get spiritual with it, it says that we were created in His image. Doesn't mean that we were the only ones.
Right.
So like I'm not saying like, oh, if that happens, then it obviously disproves this.
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm on the other side of like just because aliens exist doesn't mean that God doesn't exist.
Right. That's a piss
That's
poor
my,
argument.
but
yeah.
that's my opinion. I know a lot of people do agree with like, oh well, that would disprove everything you've said. But yeah, I think it's interesting to think that if aliens are around, that you'd have this idea that they would look like us,
Mhm.
and I don't think they would. And who knows? There's like maybe beings out there that exist, but it's crazy how we haven't seen anything. And then now it's like I don't know what podcast or what context it was in, but they were talking about how like how crazy would it be to know that knowledge and then just to like say
Oh,
that knowledge
yeah.
like
That'd be
that
world
would
changing.
But the thing is also, yeah, world changing. Would that be wars anymore if we knew that there was another being? Because then we would all look at it as like, well,
Like,
we're
we're
not.
Earth.
Yeah,
Not
now we're not.
necessarily.
Now we're on the same team now.
So
Mm.
ideally, yes, but my thoughts on that are if other countries or whatever, which up in space there is like a known treaty, like you're up in space, you're all one people. Once
Yeah,
you get
because
back
that's
to-
the International Space Station.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's like
No one owns
no one-
space.
doesn't
Right.
fucking matter where you're from up there. You're all trying to do the same thing. But
Sorry.
what might cause tension because our stupid fucking ridiculous world and our human behavior is self-destructing, and the whole thing is that they're going to be worried about like if we make contact with aliens, oh, this country's going to try and make a deal with
Yes.
Yeah,
it's-
like who's the
yeah.
one that
Yeah,
makes
'cause,
the
like,
deal first?
The Cold War, they were afraid of like, oh, if aliens did contact Russia, what are we gonna do? Like they might give them technology.
Yeah, because I mean, the whole thing was trying to. It is kind of weird how like aliens became a real big deal in that time frame, and I
Mhm.
think it was on the piggybacking of like shows like War of the Worlds or the Roswell incident and news breaking out that like maybe there is this creative like thought process of maybe we're not alone,
Mm-hmm.
and where this whole I don't know it like to me aliens are weird to even try to comprehend because like you're saying when you start thinking about it, it's kind of like thinking about death to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you start realizing you don't matter like and you're just gonna die and you're gonna move on, and everyone else is gonna move on. Some people will be sad.
Blip in the
Yeah, and so
timeline.
like your
Well,
whole
yeah.
goal in life is to try and make a difference so that people do remember you, whether that be for 10 minutes or 1,000 years. That's your life goal. But then if
Mhm.
you start to realize, oh well, this being is 125 years old and they still got like a quarter of their life to go, you start realizing like, oh shit, my life really doesn't matter.
Oh, right.
What is my purpose of being here? And with these aliens showing up, then they're like, oh well, now you have this thing. Now you have this thing that is now
Well-
introducing itself into your life, into your world now. So
Yeah, I mean, but like also the same thing is like it doesn't mean that say like these aliens or what have you, whatever we want to call them, maybe we're the aliens, right?
I
So,
mean, this is our home planet, so.
well, yeah, but there's also like theories out there that we're actually not from here.
Yeah, like we were
Well,
seated
I'm
here.
not a Scientologist, so I don't
Oh
believe
my
in
God.
that.
No,
Nah.
that's not.
That I came from a volcano.
Yeah,
No.
well, and
No,
even
no,
if we
no.
technically didn't come from like if like people didn't land here, put us here, and like, well, it there is also like
There's
Yeah,
multiple
there is that.
conspiracies.
yeah, because
So
there's theories that
there is
meteors
that one.
landed here with
Yeah.
like DNA on them and stuff.
with
Sure.
like organisms and
Mhm.
stuff like that on there, and then we gradually evolved, which not a lot of people, not everybody believes in evolution, even though it's scientifically proven. But same thing with like the flat Earth versus
Oh right,
round
yeah.
Earth. It's scientifically proven that the Earth isn't flat, but people will still believe that for whatever reason, which they can't have an argument for shit for some reason. Not to get too controversial with that. We're talking about
Good old-
aliens here,
yeah,
but
good old flat Earth.
Yeah, I was
theories.
like trying to figure out how to segue us out of that. I was like,
But,
well, all right, there we go.
like it's I have a hard time believing that a race or a species starts out, like an intelligent being, civilization started out being able to have such a long life. I think that's at the hands of technology, because if you look at it, us today versus back in like the 1800s,
Oh right.
we weren't living past like 30 most of the time.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, more medicines and all whatnot
Yeah.
have gotten us
Yeah.
there. But I think that it's also if they're coming to us, then clearly they're smarter than us. And
Yeah.
I think that's what people are a lot afraid of is coming in contact with a being that clearly shows with evidence that it's way smarter than humans.
Mhm.
Because on our planet, we think that humans are the smartest animals. I mean, a lot of people will say like dolphins or whatever. They ain't fucking
Yeah,
on
we're,
land.
we're up there. Like,
So,
yeah, because
the-
like dolphins are incredibly smart, but they can't walk on land.
we have the most
like
advantages.
Yeah, they're
Right.
not building cities down there.
Yeah.
So the thing, and primates aren't doing that either. So with us, we are considered the top. We've exceeded our
We're
Darwinism
yeah,
type
we're
of
OP.
situations. Yeah, because we've grown to the point where we don't have to worry about dying through being attacked from a cheetah.
Yeah.
Like we don't have that problem anymore unless you go out to the savannah and try
Yeah.
to challenge a cheetah. So
Yeah, pretty much.
but the thing is like when this being comes down, you have to understand like, oh, yeah, we're not on the top of the list anymore.
Yeah.
Like we've now dropped a little bit in the rung. So.
I forget what it's called, but there's this thing I remember reading about. It's the something line, where essentially it's so there's three different scenarios. One, you haven't passed it yet, so therefore you have not advanced enough to know about alien technology or creatures or societies, whatever. Two, you're like on the cusp of that line, where essentially you're like at the breakthrough point, and then three, you're beyond that line. So basically, like if you didn't advance by then, you won't. And there's some theories saying that like, oh, humans have reached their peak. We're never going to reach light speed or intergalactic
Well,
travel
light speed is- yeah.
and things like that. Yeah, and then there's some people who believe that we haven't crossed that threshold yet. So it's very possible that we might be able to go into some kind of hyperspace of some sort and travel across the galaxy, discover new planets and things. I just can't remember what it's called, but essentially the problem is if you have passed that line and you haven't reached a certain technological standpoint, you're pretty much fucked because you're not going to be able to like save your
So some
planet
people think
or
that we've peaked.
yes, and so I guess some people essentially assume that like with the global warming conspiracy, things like that, like or even I guess it's not really a conspiracy, that has been scientifically proven as well. But as far as like the global warming and the ice ages, any kind of Armageddon or what have you, any of that stuff is going to happen at some point, and we're not going to be able to stop it because we've already surpassed our peak of like learning or whatever. So yeah, I cannot remember what it's called, but it was a really interesting article that I read once.
I don't know if that's something that you believe. I know it's something you heard, but I totally disagree with thinking that we've hit our peak.
Oh,
because,
absolutely, yeah.
Like we have, like these old ass people already like found out the measurements of the Earth with a fucking stick,
Mm-hmm.
and they're only off by like 10% of the actual
Yeah.
size of the Earth.
Yeah.
So that in itself, like if you they didn't have shit
Like
for
the
technology
pyramids
back then.
were built over 5,000 years ago, and they're like almost perfectly in line with the stars and constellations.
Yeah,
It's like, what in the hell? And then the Mayans were like telling time, like, in like 2000 BC.
yeah,
It's like they had a whole clock and everything.
It's crazy. If they could do so much with so little, think of what we can do now.
Right.
And like I guess like the big thing is that we're not being told of all like advancements if we are making any. There's that you can get all conspiracy theory with it, which I kind of believe that we're not being told everything that's being discovered. Because like there's a bunch of declassified files. Area 51 still hasn't been declassified,
Right.
which Obama said he was gonna do, but never got around to it. I was really looking forward to that, but there's just a lot of things that I feel like we're not told, and it doesn't. If there's no sense of like information being thrown out, into the public, where are we gonna get all these people wanting to, go into that field and explore more and make space more of an objective for us and maybe learn more.
It's
So
very possible that might have been what fueled the space race in the first place, because all of a sudden aliens crash land, Area 51's a thing, people start seeing sightings, bam, we need to go to space, and it was like moon landing, maybe we'll find them up there, and then they get up there and they find nothing but dirt, and then even then that's
well,
a
apparently
conspiracy
there's a
theory,
structure,
but
like thing up there now.
oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, because
Like
I
a
mean,
bunker.
I look at it as it's kind of that information of, if let's say the president knows that information, you now risk a global pandemic of people knowing this knowledge now, that we're not the only ones in the world, in the galaxy, in the universe, and that is such like hard information that I feel like if they can slowly tell you, I don't think they know jack shit. Like, I don't think they got a damn clue on what's going on. It's just the thing about what it is like, I'm so happy that now like Elon Musk and his team with SpaceX are like trying to test things and try to do more space stuff, because what that does is now that allows an outlet of this technology is trying to be done, and it can allow, oh, well, we want to go colonize Mars. I still think that's weird because that planet is not inhabitable, but I mean, they'd have to build and do all this stuff to like make that a livable source. But
that would
I
take
mean,
like hundreds of years to terraform.
yeah, and the thing is like, I guess you could land pods there and eventually like slowly build out, like Xenon, the girl of the 21st century. And the thing is like they just keep doing this stuff. But I think the problem is now that it's a private company, and now because all the government stuff has just stopped. Like, NASA does not give two shits about sending people farther out into that distance, because that's clearly not what their objective is right now. Their objective is to figure out and see if Mars is livable. Like, that's their whole ploy, that what they're trying to do, as opposed to SpaceX. It seems like that's their whole goal is to make technology so that rockets go up and down, which they've done. They've succeeded at that. But why did we stop doing it? And like, that's the big deal. I'm not one of those people that thinks that the moon landing was fake. I totally think that was real. Because just by tests and people saying that it was filmed, it's impossible to do what they did if they filmed it, because they would have to have like a light source that's so huge to not cast a shadow like they did in the pictures. But it's just weird how they stopped doing it. Like, I guess it's kind of right. You were like, oh, well, maybe it's because of the space race stuff, but it's like, why do they stop doing it? I just don't understand it.
Yeah, it did get expensive too. That's part of it. And
But I mean, can you imagine if we kept doing it,
Well,
with supposedly the technology that's in like a Game Boy or whatever is the same stuff, as powerful as the computer system there?
I
Well-
think part of it too was also the at least I want to say in the 80s when the Challenger blew up and then the Columbia blew up in like the early 2000s, both of those incidents definitely dissuaded people from wanting to do anything with space. Because just with the expense, the disaster.
Yeah, but I mean, look at what
and
SpaceX is doing.
the
They
lack
haven't
of-
even shot people into space yet. Like they shot a fucking car in space.
Oh,
but they
no,
haven't
yeah, I
But
know.
the thing is like they've been testing with rockets that go up and
yeah.
they go back down.
Well, but that's a private company though, so it's
But
like
yeah,
so we're not the ones funding it.
but
so
see,
I
that's
think
my thing is like there's a dude that took his money.
yeah.
If one dude can pay for all this shit, like
Well, no, but that's what I'm saying. Do you want to pay taxes to go to space?
I don't know.
Exactly, and that's what 90% of the population says too. They're like, why would I want to go to space, or why would I care about space?
If they can break it down,
You
like
know?
tell me they could build like if Disney Moon is happening soon, like I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
maybe I
maybe
might toss a
if-
couple tax dollars.
I
there.
think if they gave people the incentive to want to go to space, whether it be for colonization, whether it be for discovering new life, this
Do you
and
know
that.
off the top of your head how
Yeah.
long it takes to get to Mars?
To Mars, it takes about 3 months.
3 months.
I
That's not
want
too bad.
I want to say 3 months. Yeah,
That's not too bad.
or wait, no, maybe that's the moon. No, the moon I think
Mm.
the moon's 3 weeks, and I want to say Mars is 3 months.
I can look
Yeah,
it
I
up.
can't I can't
Fun,
remember
fun
exactly.
fact. So, I believe NASA's budget, NASA gets like 0.1 or 0.01% of the U.S. budget each year, but they actually got quite a bit more than what they asked for this year. So they got $21.5 billion for 2019 in funding, which is 1.6 billion above their initial request.
It's like less than like
That's less than the video game industry.
well, yeah, I was gonna say that's less than some movies make in like it seems like.
Yeah,
But
I think the
probably
Avengers
not, I
made.
guess
How
billions,
much does
but-
the Avengers make?
Oh,
I think I could check.
I
it.
think movies don't actually make over like only a couple movies have made over $1 billion, but yeah, because 21 billion is quite a bit of money.
But yeah, you hear about the herpes thing? People getting herpes in space.
What?
Yeah.
Space herpes?
Yeah. No, apparently it causes agitation towards you. I'm not gonna lie, I took this from Funhouse, but they were talking about it. I was listening to this before we got here. But they were talking about how like I guess it agitates you. So like if you have the herpes virus inside you, it could activate like herpes, chickenpox, or shingles
Oh, okay.
based
okay.
on like I guess stress. I
Yeah,
guess?
yeah, probably. Because I mean, yeah, the toll on your body.
But can you
to go to
imagine that having
space.
shingles in space?
God, that would be
Oh
terrible.
my god! I had shingles one time. That was the worst experience I've ever had.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to not have shingles, but I had chickenpox as a kid, so it's
You
very,
have it.
Well, I was gonna say it's very possible I could get it at some point, and some people get it twice, like the shingles or whatever.
Some
and
people
same
get
with
chickenpox
yeah.
twice. Yeah.
Oh, so obviously I guess that makes sense. So the time it takes to get to Mars varies depending because
Oh.
they're not always in the same.
Yeah.
Right.
Jesus Christ.
So on average, we're looking at about a month and a half
Month and a half. Okay.
to get to Mars.
It's 3 months. Is it 3 months at its farthest?
At its farthest, let's see.
So I just want to go on record. Avengers only broke $2,048,709,917 worldwide.
Is that the highest grossing?
I think it is because I think they knocked down Avatar. I don't know. I'm just looking on the IMDb page. I apparently can buy it now in Blu-ray and 4K on digital movies anywhere.
So the farthest approach was 289 days.
289.
So almost a year.
Okay, so yeah.
Almost a year.
Um,
That's not
yeah.
too bad.
Yeah.
That's not too
And
bad.
that's like if
You'd have to
it's
live on a
super
ship
far
though.
away. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like if we were to send people to space, we would have to establish a ship so that they could live on a spaceship for a year,
Yeah.
Yeah. lots
get
of
there,
provisions.
and then
And then come
survive.
Yeah, and then is this
No,
a,
I
is
think-
this a colonization trip or just
Well,
a
see, that's the
trip
thing.
there and
I
back?
think the idea around the whole colonization of Mars is it's a one-way
one-way
damn
trip.
trip. Yeah, you ain't getting back unless
And
you
let's
build
hope,
the whole
yeah,
thing.
and let's hope nothing's living there when you get there.
Yeah, there's water on Mars. That was a
which-
Doctor Who.
Well, I
which
mean,
had bacteria
not
in it, right?
necessarily because they could send other pods over there for fuel.
That's not what they're doing though. They're going, you go there, you're done. But that's not the thing. Is like, I mean, if what Elon Musk is doing with his team, then I guess in theory, yes, you could do exactly what you said. If you sent extra fuel over, you could get the ship there and then get the ship back. But you have to. That's a lot of fuel, like to go there and back. It's a lot of fuel,
Yeah.
especially. So would you have more fuel or more food so that the colonies can grow faster? I think they would put more food and make it a one-way trip. If you're making that trek, you're going there. But the thing is like, I wouldn't go until they get internet there. There ain't no go. But you could be the #1 Twitch streamer on Mars, though. So there you go.
Oh shit. Yeah.
But anyway,
Sign me
back to aliens.
Yeah, we kind of digressed a little bit on that one.
up. 3 days to the moon.
3 days.
That's not too bad.
Really? Only 3 days? I thought
Well,
it
I
was
mean, it's
like
not too
2
far.
weeks. Oh, well, I thought it was 3 weeks.
Oh. Not too far.
That's what Google says.
Damn.
Can't colonize the moon, though.
I did not realize that it was that close.
Hey, you never know, man. Never know.
Wouldn't it throw it off its axis, though, if more weight goes on to the moon?
I don't know
no,
how
I've
much.
never-
I
I've
would
never
think
talked
in
that.
theory.
I mean, that's got to be a lot of weight to do that.
I don't know how thick the moon is, though. It's thick with 2 C's.
I mean, it's pretty small compared to us.
aliens. Yeah, I don't know. The whole, I mean, it does skeeve me out, though. Like the fact that if you could be laying in bed and then all of a sudden, like, a beam of light shoots into your room.
Well,
Oh,
you don't
yeah.
even. Well, I mean, that could also.
You
be
don't
like,
even know, Ashton.
Well, no shit. But at the same
It's just
time,
how you, like, you don't know. It's like, yeah,
don't-
sure, I don't know.
you can't take like science fiction and movies
I'm not saying
Well,
that.
and people
I
are
was
going to be
just-
like,
Well, because I've seen stuff too. I was watching this program on like TLC or something where they were
Tender Love and Care.
where they where they were talking about like there might be aliens out there that we don't even perceive as aliens. So like say you go to Jupiter, right? And you
Or say
sit-
the first
you-
Thanksgiving.
you
There's
sit-
no record saying that the first Thanksgiving didn't have a.
Yeah, it's true.
That's a South Park joke.
But if you send like a probe into Jupiter or something, and it picks up like electrical signals, and you're like, oh, it's just electricity. But those could be living creatures, like made out of electrical impulses and various things that we can't fathom as creatures because we have no concept of them living.
Sure.
Yeah, and so like I always thought that was a really cool idea, you know, like I mean, you look at a jellyfish, you wouldn't think that thing's alive per se because it's just a bunch of like globule stuff just kind of floating through the
See,
water.
those are the space
you know?
aliens I want to exist.
Yeah, it looks
I want
yeah,
the big
no.
globby people.
yeah, it looks like
Huh.
a big
The
snot,
planet
a
of
snot
glob.
wad just floating
No,
through the water, you know. And so it's like there could be giant jellyfish just floating through space. We wouldn't
Yeah,
even know
imagine
it.
that. Just this big pile of jelly is moving around.
Yeah, that would be. Ugh, it'd be like
What?
it'd be
They're
like
just,
it's like
Odo
space
off
cum.
of.
no,
Well, yeah, I was gonna say.
they're not saying that. What if it's green?
Yeah, did you? Well, do you remember Odo from Star Trek Deep Space Nine? His
Wow. No.
So his species was known as the changelings, right? And so on their planet, it's just a giant planet of like liquid them. They're all part of
Liquid them.
yeah, they're all part of this giant like liquid mass that's like a cohesion of thoughts, and then they create individual people out of
So
that.
they're like Ditto.
Yeah. It's like
Okay.
a giant planet of Ditto, and then it just spits off little pieces to become people.
Okay.
It's really weird, and then they can change into other people because of their DNA, the way their DNA works. But
Who is
it's
this? Spork?
what?
What's this guy's name?
Spork. yeah.
Odo.
Odo.
Let's go through all the
Yeah,
utensils.
my
Ryan.
name's stupid.
Lord.
Odo. Odo. No, yeah, it was weird.
I would just love to see some Klingons. I think
Klingon to what?
well, you do
Like
know
the
what
plastic wrap?
Yeah, you do know what Star Trek and toilet paper have in common, right?
No, but I'm assuming
Oh.
it's hilarious.
They both look for Klingons near Uranus.
Insert crickets.
No, I wanted a good solid silence there. Like I was smiling, but I wanted a good solid silence to make sure that no one knew anyone was laughing. Sure. I wish that we get to the point of like Mass Effect.
So,
Oh yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think.
tight.
Not Halo.
No, everyone's
No,
dying.
no.
You realize the whole reason like Halo is a big bad thing
No,
is
I
because
know, I know.
they're trying to like fight for this.
Yeah, they're gonna
yeah.
eradicate humans, basically.
Well,
but,
the Flood is on
but yeah,
the
the
Halo
flood,
rings.
Yeah.
I don't want the Flood to exist.
See, I would
Turn
hate.
you into a zombie.
Yeah, see, I would hate to encounter aliens that are anything like xenomorphs, the Flood, any kind of
Predator.
any kind of hive mentality. What's that?
Some symbiotes.
Yeah, symbiotes. Yeah, anything that's like essentially there to just take over
Like
another
venom,
species.
venom.
Yeah, I actually just watched that movie. Speaking of, since we're talking about aliens, I just watched that movie with my dad, and
Okay.
that movie's
Did you get to the end?
oh my
Gonna
god,
get your venom.
that movie's so bad that it's kind of good in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know, it's just oh my god, it's terrible.
I will say I did not like the CGI in it.
Yeah. Oh no,
It was
see,
You
terrible.
didn't like
yeah.
the CGI venom.
You Eddie, I'm kind of a loser on my planet too.
Dude.
That's why I
At
really
least-
like
at
The
least
you.
the
lethal
dialogue
protector,
between them was
ladies and
good.
gentlemen.
Yeah, that was the best part of the movie.
Yeah,
is-
the
which one?
dialogue was good.
yeah,
Sure. Yeah, CGI was shit.
yeah.
Let's take the black symbiote face off against the silver symbiote
Yeah.
and have them blob against each other.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, that would be an alien that I don't know I would be cool with. You know,
hostile.
no,
ones.
but like, so let me ask you this:
Go ahead.
if
go on.
fuck you, Ryan.
What?
Anyway,
Don't throw me
Anyway.
a segue and expect me not to give you an open door. Any moment.
okay, so
All right.
you're throwing me off, man.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here.
Okay, so if an alien ship
Yep.
dropped in front of you, like in a field, like what Josh was saying,
Oh,
In a
okay.
wheat field?
in a wheat,
and I know
field,
wheat.
Yeah.
and they were like, and they actually had like, let's just say science fiction shit. They had like a universal translator,
Oh,
Okay.
and they dropped down and had a conversation with you. You're like, hey, we're actually wanting to do like experiment to see how you can comprehend certain things. Will you come on my ship?
Now
Did-
that
like,
sounds suspect.
Come on his ship or like come onto his ship? Those are two different things.
Enter his ship.
Would you enter?
and they would take you through. They would
Would you empty into this cups and then we will fly away?
they would take you through space and kind of see how you react as a test to see if the rest of the world is ready.
I'd be
And
willing to go, yeah.
You'd be willing to go.
Okay, if it's
They
some-
made it there. Obviously, they can
well,
make it back here.
yeah, if they were if they were like forthcoming and being like, okay, we're not gonna stick anything up your ass,
could be
and
lying.
we're not gonna like
They're dirty aliens.
yeah, we're not gonna cut you apart and look inside you. All
Why-
we want to do is just
That
take
seems
you with
oddly
us.
specific for something
Like-
that you're not going to do.
Right, yeah.
We're not going to cut you open, take out your spleen, throw it onto a table, and make you look at it.
Yeah.
We won't do that.
Like nothing like Mars Attacks where they're gonna cut my head off,
Dude,
and put
okay,
it on a dog.
here's the thing about
you
Mars
know?
Attacks. I was freaked out. I cannot
See
watch that movie.
yeah, that kind of
movie
alien.
scared me.
No, I'm not down with that. But if they were like, "Hey, we're gonna take you to our home planet. We're gonna basically enlighten you and show you what we've learned, and we're gonna see if you're a barometer to test and see if humankind is ready for this," I would probably be willing to go.
I would be too.
But knowing humankind, I'd be like, they're not ready. Like I'm pretty sure they're not ready. You know, like
But
or
I
at least
mean,
You
most
need
people.
to. I would bring to the attention of like we need to introduce this in phases.
Yes, yes.
Let's do the Infinity Wars first.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
Just
But-
drop one stone at a time.
Well,
Exactly.
What? So
Give them the Tesseract.
So theoretically, how do you think it should be introduced? Because
What do
I
you
do
mean?
believe that there's stuff out there that we don't know about because
Sure.
it is classified.
Sure.
So I guess what would be something that you'd want to hear first?
I don't know.
You
Yeah.
know,
Maybe dialogue first. I don't know.
Oh, like as far
Don't
as like
show anyone anything yet.
see
Visually, that would freak people out.
I think that people aren't gonna officially know about aliens until one of them comes down and basically either starts a war or lands to communicate. Like
I can
until
see that.
yeah, until it's like a large public thing.
They
where-
have to do it.
Yeah.
Our governments on this planet won't do that.
Yeah, I have a feeling they'll keep it under wraps
Because
and
they
until-
want to make so that they're the first ones to. Because I think it's the whole like, our dick's bigger than yours.
Yeah,
Because if you start telling everyone that like, hey, I know everyone thinks Area 51 something, but it's just a hangar bay. It's nothing. We don't do anything there. If you start saying that, then you got people like Russia and North Korea going. I mean North Korea more often, but it's like, oh, well, they don't know anything. Well, what about these guys? Do you guys know
Yeah.
anything? So if you keep them guessing, then it's this moment of like, well, we're not going to throw all of our cards on the table. Again, I'm just saying this scenario. I'm not saying this actually happened. For all I know, we do have some sort of knowledge about it. But the thing is, it's like, I still think visually, you don't show anyone anything. If let's say the next day, the president of the United States comes out and says like, all right, here we go. This is a picture of the alien. First off, they think he's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Second off, he's like, no. And then he shows them the guy
Yeah.
like in the Oval Office. That right off the bat would be way too far.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
too much.
I think that would cause
Too
like,
happening.
public outcry. People
Yeah.
would freak out.
If you do slow stuff like reading and audio, I think that would allow you to get more of like a slow reaction, because as soon as people see stuff, that breaks people. That's like because you can read about
Because
violence.
like seeing is believing kind of thing.
Well, the
you
other
know?
thing is like think about it. Think about it in the sense of let's go a little over the top. I was going to use violence, but let's use sex. If you read about sex, you think it's damn well hilarious, because when you're in fifth or sixth grade and you're reading about like the penis enters the vagina, all these are just funny words. Like, and then all of a sudden, when you're like, hopefully in high school, sinners.
Yeah. I sinned in high school a lot.
But like if you get to that point and you're like, well, you start looking up porn,
Mm-hmm.
like visually, you're not supposed to be looking at this. Like that shocks
But
you.
it just feels so right.
But it shocks you so much because it's like there's this sense of not understanding of like,
Yeah.
whoa, wait a minute. I've
Yeah.
read about this. I don't know it actually existed. So it's like as soon as a human sees that, they've been broken into that sense of knowledge.
You bringing that up, actually, it's kind of reminds me of, so when I was
Knowledge.
in the fifth grade.
Aliens.
Yeah, like when I was in the fifth grade, like how you were saying, I remember learning about like stuff like that. But then in the fifth grade, when they actually go through like, this is what puberty is, and then they show you the video and all
Yeah,
this,
I
and
think
that's
it-
like, whoa, this is blowing my mind.
Yeah, first
You
I think it
know?
was I think fifth grade we learned about it slowly, and then sixth grade we were shown the video.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That was at least for my education.
Yeah.
Okay, they might have adjusted it, you know.
And then in
did
middle
you get
school-
the Miracle of Life video in middle school?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
were
remember
we
that.
were
Yeah, that's the birthing one.
yeah,
right?
that's the one
Yeah.
where you actually see the baby leaving. The,
Oh, okay, yeah. 'cause
That was pretty
yeah,
terrifying.
Oh, it's a lot.
That's an alien right
a lot
there.
of hair going on.
Like,
Yeah.
if
It looks like a crab alien from Half-Life.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, babies are kind of technically parasites, but I'm just saying, because they're growing.
Parasite.
Yeah, Mrs. Chen, they're growing inside.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
you,
Yeah, see, look, we got Venom back in there. Venom.
Yeah, so my leg was broken. Now it's not broken no more. What happened?
It's a parasite. Okay. But yeah, like it is weird that we as a country, that's the United States way, and more specifically that's
Yeah,
like Thurston County, Washington way of learning this education. But
Yeah.
but that's the thing, it's like you slowly introduce it to the person.
Yeah.
Because if they like in fifth grade show you porn, you would be fucking
yeah.
broken.
Yeah, it'll
like,
fuck your head up.
Yeah, so it's like you gotta ease a human being into knowing knowledge
Yeah.
about something like that, because it's such a culture shock that it's like, because it doesn't require you to know a lot to
Right.
know about this thing. You just know
All of
there's
a sudden,
something
it
instinctively that this is something that exists.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with like violence, because obviously not very many people do this.
Yeah.
There are people that do. You can get into the point of like when you cut yourself
Mm-hmm.
to the point where you break your arm, to the point where someone literally you look at a dead body.
Right.
It's like there's something about that you would totally just break a human, that you just don't understand. Even people that have gone through that tried to ease their way into it. You could watch movies all day, but when you see a real dead body, it's a whole different story.
It's totally different.
So,
Yep.
do you know?
I know.
Why, is there something you want to confess?
Oh.
No, but there's
I've bagged a couple bodies up.
oh, okay.
Yeah, that's my job.
You work at the hospital.
Yeah, well, yeah, because I was gonna say at Mojo's,
That
yeah,
was-
there were
that was
plenty of
not
dead-
stated before.
yeah, because like I worked at an elderly home too, and there were tons of dead bodies
Yeah,
floating in and
I
out of
backed
there
up the
all
bodies
day.
and
I'm
threw
in the
them into
double
a ditch.
digits. I'm in the double
Yeah.
digits at this point. So
Oh, okay. See
um,
that?
Yeah, it's weird.
But the thing is like they didn't just throw you into that. Like
Yeah.
Yes.
they.
they did.
Okay. You're diffusing my point, but the thing is like you would.
There's always exceptions.
You slowly like ease that person into
Yeah,
knowing that, hey, just so you know, someone might die on you.
Yeah.
Here's how you handle this shit.
Yeah. 'cause
Otherwise,
that's a
if it just-
career. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you have to think like the normal, just average person doesn't see a dead body on a daily basis. So like, if you were just a regular person growing up in the world, like, you know, it'd be like, oh, this is what death is, and you learn about the concept of death through like pets and stuff, and then eventually you see like maybe a dead pet, and then you graduate to essentially like, oh, okay, I understand that people are gonna die, and then eventually you will see a dead body probably at some point in your life if your parents die or whatever.
Yeah.
But like how you're saying, you have to kind of slowly go through steps because that's a big emotional toll, and then if people if the government was like, hey, aliens exist and here's like a dead alien that we found in 1947, it would be like, dude, like what in the hell? You know, that would be basically like taking a 5-year-old and being like, here's like a murdered body. You know,
'cause
it would be the same concept.
Now the thing is though, is like knowing that knowledge at it would throw you into the deep end, and it's definitely something that I think as a nation, especially now, we could not handle that. And
Oh no.
Well, I mean, there is this thing where there has to be a treaty because there's like a total of, I believe, 72 different stations from different countries. So
on the radio, on the TV, where's this?
space. Dude.
Okay.
We're talking about aliens.
Yeah, but like,
are you talking
was
about
I the only one
individual
lost
or
there?
like ISS?
There are 72 stations, and
Yeah, so there's like 72 different, space programs out there. So, I
Okay.
mean, there has to be 72 large groups agreeing not to share certain information that they find. So there has
Sure.
to be
Yeah.
a treaty in place.
sure,
For
or they
that.
just don't want to show
So
the
it's
cards.
it's if you show it to one nation, you show it to everybody because that's just how it's going to happen.
Yeah, and I would like to think that if aliens did show up here as hostile visitors, that like Earth would be able to do kind of like an Independence Day kind of thing, where it'd be like, okay, well,
Today,
yeah, we're getting attacked by like a completely
it's
different,
Independence Day.
like, yeah, a completely different species. Let's just set aside our differences and fight this one like together.
How
you
did
know?
Mass Effect happen? Wasn't there
So-
a war before that, or were we introduced to it?
I can't remember.
I gotta play that game again.
Yeah, it's been so
they,
long.
I think they come down and they like test us, and like we're the newest species to
yeah,
be invited
they're all
into the
like
Citadel.
they're all part of the thing already, and essentially humans had just reached like the gate, how they were traveling through the gate.
Well,
and stuff,
going back
right?
to what you were saying, we've reached the point
Right,
where we got
yes.
to like, oh yeah, we're
Yeah.
now understanding of this type of technology,
Mhm.
and so then they came down and they're like, hey, humans,
Yeah,
this stuff has existed for millions of years.
Yes, yeah.
You guys just suck.
it was kind of like that in Star Trek also, because I think they do it in Star Trek Generations, where essentially they show. So the Vulcans just happened to be flying by Earth at the same exact moment that the dude discovered like warp speed, and he shot his rocket into warp speed up into the sky, and they were like, a warp signature? What the hell? And then they land on this backwoods planet, and they're like, dude, you guys just like hit the jackpot because you just discovered warp and we're here. Couldn't have been better timing, you know?
Interesting,
So
yeah.
it's just kind of like the same idea where they were like, yeah, we've had this technology for thousands of years, but you guys are just kind of slow to learn, I guess.
So here's the question: do you think they're watching?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think so.
Well, I mean, maybe not because maybe
Could be
to them
like
we're not
South
that
Park.
interesting because
What was that?
we're,
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna say it could be like the South Park where they're watching us as a reality TV show.
Oh, yeah,
no, it could be that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like maybe there's not really anything that they can learn from us because they're so much more advanced.
That's a good call.
Because they're already visiting other planets. We've
Yeah,
made it to the moon a handful of times.
yeah,
And we haven't even landed a person on Mars.
Yeah.
To the nearest planet. So
Again, not to bring it back to Star Trek, but to bring it back to Star Trek, they have a thing in there called
On Star Trek
Yeah.
episode 47,
Yeah, Stardate
where
dash
Kirk took a shit on
3.21.
planet Narg.
Yeah. They have that thing known as the Prime Directive, where essentially any advanced civilization that can travel to other planets, if they land on a planet and the civilization has not reached that point, they do not interfere to let that planet evolve on their own terms, because it can really fuck up a planet and essentially like either speed up the process of death for that species or just completely throw everything out of balance. And
So are you saying that they could be testing us to get to Mars. We get to Mars, we make the colony, and then we get introduced into the Citadel.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
You know, it could possibly be like how you know, maybe they're watching us.
Do
They've
you
come
think?
to our planet a couple times and they're like, oh, they're not there yet. We'll come back in like another 100 years.
Do you
know?
think that the aliens are purple?
I don't know. I don't think they're purple.
I don't know.
Do you think they're green?
No,
Little green
no.
men
I would imagine
that are the size of your shin.
see, and like I would have a tough time believing
That
See,
these
because-
little leprechaun-looking guys are running
yeah,
around
because like it would depend. Like
nude.
theory has it that humans are going to evolve into something similar to how we view aliens, like how they have the big heads, the small
That's not what
eyes, and
Predator
things
says.
like that. Like because I've seen studies where they're like, what will humans look like in another 1,000 years? And if our brains keep growing, our craniums will get larger, but our bodies will get smaller, and we're gonna have to learn how to like figure that out, you know. And it seems kind of odd to think that, but I mean, it would make sense if we keep evolving to be smarter, we wouldn't necessarily need our body if we can surpass those physical limitations, you know. But it would just depend, because I mean, it would be impossible for a giant-headed alien on a little child's body to be able to walk upright.
I've seen Paul. It can
you know.
happen.
But yeah.
One thing I will say that I found that was really interesting, because I've been in this YouTube show hole of just like space shit. One video popped up on my feed, and I'm like, oh, that looks kind of cool.
And then the
And
YouTube
it's
algorithm
fucking
continues.
flooding
Yeah.
me, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh my god, okay.
Yeah, don't watch those conspiracy videos, man. They,
Yeah.
they mess up your whole entire suggestion
Yeah,
bar.
so there is a conspiracy out there. Again, conspiracy. This is not confirmed as real, people. So there is a conspiracy that there was a. So when we got on the moon first, with
Sure.
Neil Armstrong, he went on a private comm with the medical.
Neil Arm? Yeah, that's right.
You're-
Wait.
What? Neil Armstrong didn't land on the moon?
I thought that was Louis Armstrong.
But
The cyclist? He's the trumpet player. I just want to clarify.
so
But go ahead.
there was something said on that private comm. God damn it.
So they
some-
land on the moon.
They went on the moon, and there was something said on the private comm to the medical.
I farted, but Buzz doesn't know yet.
Not that he'd be able to smell it anyway. I mean, you're clouding yourself.
Yeah, but he doesn't want him to know. That's why he went private. Come on, think about it, Ashton.
Anyway,
Aliens.
aliens. So he said on a private comm, allegedly,
Yeah.
Uh,
that they're parked on the other side of the crater. They're just watching us.
Oh, weird.
It's them from the future.
Is that did they use that as inspiration for one of the Transformers movies? Like I want to say at the beginning of either
Well,
Transformers.
it's called Dark Side of the Moon.
Yeah, it
Or
might
not-
it might be that
Is that
one.
Dark Side of the Moon?
I think it is, because
Is
I
that
want
the
to say
song?
because I want to say they land. Neil Armstrong gets out, does his whole spiel, and then he's like going to private, and then he goes to private, and then he jumps over to where the Transformer ship's
Got
like
it,
chilling
yeah,
there in
yeah.
in the dirt, and they do all their thing, and then they go back and like start recording like normal.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they took inspiration from that whole conspiracy,
Maybe.
like because that's the first time that I saw anything like that, as far as like Neil Armstrong going into a private feed and jumping and seeing aliens on the moon and stuff. So I'm curious. if
Yeah,
it's
there was like another thing too, where they were doing a stream up in space. I guess.
Oh, I've seen these. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a UFO, and UFO doesn't mean
Yeah.
spaceship, people. Unidentified flying object.
Yeah. So it could be anything.
So it could be like a rock, but something oddly shaped was floated down into the frame of the stream, and then immediately the stream cut out.
yeah, they just cut.
Which they said it was coincidence.
Well,
Yeah.
did you see the funny gag that SpaceX did when they launched the Tesla? They did for like for 2 or 3 frames. They showed another feed of it being in a studio, and then cut it right back to the regular
okay.
feed.
Yeah, because people I think were complaining. They were like, "It's all fake. It's all fake."
Yeah, and so when they in the live stream they actually did that. They
Oh,
actually
damn.
cut, but they really did shoot a fucking car into space.
Yeah.
Which is like totally fuck you
so
money.
ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy because like there's the whole the other conspiracy of like why don't we have any evidence of the moon landing? Because all that stuff is just gone.
Yeah.
Like no one knows where it's at. They just know that it happened. There's like the little clippets from the news channels when they had it, but there's no evidence after that.
Yep.
It's just gone. No one knows where it's
Because
at.
they had footage going there, like on the way to the moon.
Yep.
And they had it on
They
the way back.
clearly had a camera.
Yeah. So it's just
Conspiracy? I think
Like what
not.
happened while they were there.
Aliens.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
no, the aliens just came by. You guys aren't ready. We're gonna take that.
Yeah. Oh,
It just pans over and there's a guy just shitting on a toilet.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if like when okay, so like obviously you
Hey,
know,
occupado. Like just the moon's just
like,
a shit planet.
no pun intended, but on the tail end of this episode here, isn't it kind of weird that so there's like that large swath of people who basically claim that they got abducted and they were getting things shoved up their ass like alien probes and stuff. And would it be weird if the aliens showed up one day and they're like, "Hey guys, like so all those experiments we were doing, like we were just trying to basically show you the peak of sexual perfection and satisfaction, but you guys just weren't taken to it, you know, and it wasn't working, so we've just decided to stop. We've come here to tell you that we exist and blah blah blah, this and that."
They have to explain themselves.
But yeah, exactly. You know, it's
I
like
don't know.
like it would just be so strange to me if they're like, "Yeah, there's like this whole thing on our planet and this is how it all works, but you guys just don't seem to figure it out." You know,
anal is like the new missionary, man.
yeah, like I just think that would be so strange.
Eating ass is like the new kissing, apparently.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
So it's just like
Man, I've been eating ass since before kissing was popular.
They evolved. They evolved before us. We got a little bit 5 minutes left. Is there any last minute things that you guys want to talk about?
last minute things we want to talk about. I mean,
Well, the one thing I do want to say, even though I would probably be terrified if it did happen, but the one thing I wish to happen to me is when I die, I want to be shot into space, and I hope aliens find my frozen corpse and resurrect it.
Well, I mean,
Well-
you'd explode, right?
no,
Or you just
no. So you would half of you
don't
would
talk
be
to me that way.
half of you would be frozen. The other half would be boiling.
Right. Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's kind of
yeah,
a weird
'cause
thing.
you'd
Hey,
be looking at
I've
the
seen
sun.
Love,
Yeah.
Death, and Robots, and apparently you could just
I-
open your
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
By the way,
break your arm,
Yeah.
and chuck
It-
it,
it's-
and watch yourself.
it's
backwards.
okay.
It's okay. My problem with that show, just to digress real quick, was it felt like too many parts of stories. Like each episode,
It's Black Mirror, but animated. Just think that way.
yeah,
Oh.
it's like oh, this could have been like a good hour and a half, 2 hour movie, but they cut 15 minutes out of it and showed you it. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Like here's
okay.
the ending of this.
Some
movie,
are great,
and here's-
some are not great.
Here's the middle of this
Animation's
movie,
good.
and here's like the beginning and the end of this movie just spliced together. You know, like that's what it felt like to me. It was like 15-minute vignettes of like a larger picture, and a few of them could have been really good if they were longer, but they're just all of them are too short for my taste. I just didn't really like the
you
idea.
like them
of-
long.
I have been abducted before. No, I'm just kidding.
I am pretty experienced.
Yeah. I wonder. Yeah, I had an experience once where there was a bunch of lights over me, and there were all these people staring at me, and I don't know if it was aliens or not, but it was really weird.
Or if it was that bar on Fourth.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's yeah.
yeah.
but
it's an okay show. It
but-
has some stuff to do with aliens.
Yeah, it did actually. Some of them did. I will say the one like where the guy is. I don't want to spoil it, but that one with the guy and the girl, and he was in
The
a sleep
spaceship.
chamber.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That one was
one's
probably-
fucked up.
that one was probably my favorite out of all of them.
That one
And
scared the shit out of me
and
with
it
that.
looked
What's it called?
so real.
Oh, it did,
Dude.
It very much did.
Some of the CGI episodes are.
It very much. Did.
I had to convince myself that I was watching something.
There was
not
times.
real.
Yeah, Jameson was watching in the first couple episodes with me, and he's like, "Dude, that looks real."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah." And then but I was watching that episode, and I'm like, "That is by far
Yeah.
the scariest
That
looking
was,
one."
That was freaky. That's something I would not want to.
No, but it did do it for you.
Yeah,
because
that's true.
It did it for a good reason.
Yeah,
But it's scary as shit to know
yeah,
that would
I
exist.
yeah, I would want to. I would want to go back to.
What if they look like that?
I wouldn't want to. No.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
like that?
No.
No.
Watch it, and you'll totally. Get
I don't
it,
wanna
yeah.
spoil that
it's
part,
Just
but-
the sleep. It's the sleep one.
I
I
just-
forget what the episode's even called.
It's the
but-
episode where the guy and the girl are having like sex
Yeah.
full in space.
Yeah, it's like episode
You'll
like
know.
14 or 15.
You'll
I
know.
think.
You will know. But
But-
there's something
yeah.
that crazy happens in that episode.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of crazy, we've ran out of time. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you've listened to the audio version on iTunes, we are on the podcast app there for Apple listeners.
Yeah.
For Android listeners, we're over there on Podbean. So go ahead and download Podbean and then listen to us with your little heart desires. We got a whole bunch of podcasts that are happening. We got PT3600, we got Bitcade, and maybe something else coming soon.
Yeah.
And if you want to watch the video version of this, you want to watch the little orb pulsate while we're talking, go ahead and go there and go subscribe, and you can watch the video version of this, and you can watch video versions of Bitcade. Yeah, there's that. There is that.
Bitcade.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's about video games. You like video games? Go listen to Bitcade because that's our video game
It's about
podcast.
bits and cades.
Sure, maybe combinations of the both sometimes.
Oh,
There's a whole bunch of Let's Plays over there. There's almost 600 videos. Almost.
Damn.
Not there yet. We're over 500, and you can go and check out any of those Let's Plays going on right now. We got a whole bunch. It's just you can watch it anytime you want.
No.
Yeah. You know,
Do you guys believe in aliens?
let us know in the
Yeah.
comments below.
there you go.
Hey,
My name is Ryan. You can follow me at Ryan A. Emore on all social medias.
it's Josh. You can follow me at Bony or Rope.
And
Yeah.
You can follow me at Ashton_Stom on Twitter.
that's going to be it. Links in the description below for all of Primal Target social media, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Good night, everybody.
Laters.
Do 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 do.
Yeah.